to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour.
Ikaris is a tragic hero. He's an Eternal who has unwavering faith in the Celestials. It's his identity and his purpose. There is nothing he wouldn't do in the service of the gods, but this faith and this devotion imprisons Ikaris, and it leads him to commit terrible acts against those he loves. Yet within that darkness there is a key to his freedom: love. His love for Circe is stronger than his devotion to the Celestials, and it forces Ikaris to choose between his faith and his heart. His choice reveals the depth of his internal conflict and the humanity in his sacrifice. In this video, I want to explore that conflict of love versus faith, duty versus emotion, and why Ikaris' story is a modern tragedy. Not of evil, but a man torn between who he was made to be and who he chose to be. As I alluded to in the intro, most of Ikaris' identity is shaped by his faith in the Celestials. He's a devoted soldier committed to complete whatever task these cosmic gods ask of him. This is because for the first few thousand years, everything around him is molded to the idea of faith and religion. Let's start with these gods. The Celestials are ancient beings responsible for bringing life into the universe. By creating stars, they allow planets like Earth to thrive and the species like humanity to rise. The opening crawl of the movie is very intentionally a mirror to the start of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This sets up a narrative of Arishem and the Celestials as divine beings worthy of worship. There is visual evidence of this too, because the first time we see the Eternals, they're in the Domo, seated around a statue of Arishem that towers above them, like they're paying their respects or praying to him in their temple. So it's pretty clear that the Eternals are meant to have unyielding faith in Arishem. At this point, Ikaris is no different to the rest of his kind, but we begin to see hints of Ikaris' deeper devotion, more than the rest of his family, pretty quickly. First, we can point to his armor. The colour choice is very deliberate and it perpetuates his faith. The armour is predominantly blue. Blue often symbolises loyalty, whilst the secondary colour of Ikaris is gold. And throughout history, gold has been attributed to divinity and represents gold. I think this costume also adds a layer of predetermination to Ikaris, because was he always meant to be the loyal soldier, to obey and never question? Circe wears green, which means nature and health, as well as inexperience, whilst Druid wears black, representing his skepticism and rebellious nature. The colours of the Eternals acts as representations of their identities. We also get to see the rank of Ikaris and the structure of the Eternals, which mirrors the church as they stand facing humanity. Ajax is the leader, she acts as the Pope. She's the only Eternal who can speak to God and carry out his will on earth. Ikaris stands closest to her, he is second in command, so he acts as the Cardinal. He is her most trusted advisor. He will learn the deepest secrets and enforce her will. The rest of the Eternals are like priests. They also minister the teaching of Arishem, and each of them have a different gift to help with this. Circe has her compassion, Phastos his technology, Athena as the warrior, and so on. The idea of faith in Arishem has been perpetuated very heavily, and the Eternals are fitting to the role as being servants of Arishem. So Ikaris having so much faith in the Celestials isn't strange at all. In fact, his surroundings and the structure of the environment, they all encourage it. Faith is expected from the Eternals, but love isn't. It's ironic that the most devoted Eternal is the one who falls in love and threatens to undo the entire purpose of their task. Love allows Ikaris to see the world in colour and to become human. Aside from Arishem, Circe is the first person that Ikaris truly sees, not through devotion, faith or instruction, but because he was drawn to her. His affection only deepens as the millennia pass. Circe loves humanity because she sees beauty and complexity in the most ordinary and smallest of actions. What importance does a human cooking food have to a cosmic being like an Eternal? For Circe though, it's everything. Her strength lies in her compassion and her connection to the people of Earth. This is a complete contrast from Ikaris, who has always been the man to guard the gates but to never live within them, never seeing humanity the way she does, never living amongst them. It's only when Ikaris chooses to pursue his love for Circe, he opens his heart to humanity. Ikaris knows the path to Circe's heart lies within the people she loves so deeply. Ikaris begins to learn their language. I can imagine him observing humans, maybe sitting amongst them while they speak, or maybe it was a human who taught him how to speak their tongue. He builds with them, he makes food with them, he follows the path Circe shows him, and there's a moment I believe that Ikaris falls in love with humanity. The scene is amongst the most beautiful in the film. Ikaris, bathed in golden light, watches over Circe and the humans. He looks at them not in an analytical or strategic way, but it's proud and soft. There's an admiration in his eyes, an unspoken revelation. Humanity is beautiful. He too is moved in humanity's most ordinary and smallest of actions, just like Circe. The two Eternals find somewhere they can be alone, the beautiful rocks overlooking the setting sun, a place as eternal as them. Ikaris, not as the Eternal, the devoted soldier or the myth, but as Ikaris the man, stands in front of the woman he loves and expresses his love for her through the language of those she admires so much. Ikaris loves Circe because she's everything he's not. Ikaris is structure, duty and rigidness, but Circe is emotion, freedom and warmth. Ikaris is finally vulnerable and the lines of duty begin to blur. All he sees is Circe and he gives himself completely to her. Circe sees a humanity that Ikaris is capable of. She sees a humanity that he himself cannot. He opened himself up to her, showing her his softness and love. He acts not only as her opposite, but as an anchor to this ever-changing world. Civilizations will rise and fall, but humanity will remain, and that humanity has come from Ikaris. Love, compassion, vulnerability, and change. She will never forget that. Circe gives Ikaris a gift, a rock in the color of his eyes. This gift is a symbol of their love. It will endure for thousands of years, and it's theirs, it's personal. A love that has been simmering for generations can now finally blossom and grow. Ikaris here chooses love, and this is significant because love is the only part of him not shaped by doctrine or obedience, but of his own free will. We've established the core pillars of Ikaris, love and faith, but what happens when these two pillars begin to collide? This is the start of the inner conflict and where Ikaris is set down a path of destruction. It all starts when Ajax reveals the truth of the Eternals' mission to him. The Celestials sent the Eternals to Earth to protect life against the deviant, so the Celestial seed at the center of the planet can grow and be born. This will bring the destruction of Earth. I want to ask the question, why does Ajax tell Ikaris? Ajax has been questioning her faith in the Celestials, and what better way to reaffirm her faith than to tell the most devoted and faithful of the Eternals, a man who won't question her and only give her the answer she wants to hear. The other Eternals would doubt the Celestials and bring forth their concerns about the mission, but she knows Ikaris would make her believe what they're doing is right, for some time at least. For Ikaris, this knowledge would be a great honor. He'd believe he's being rewarded for his loyalty and duty to the Celestials. He'd think he was special and her most trusted ally, and it would only deepen his faith and belief. However, this truth will become a burden for Ikaris. He's faced with the revelation that the world he's become to love is now temporary. Every attachment to humanity becomes a risk, because to care for humanity now, knowing their demise is certain, would be madness. So he does a logical thing. He detaches from them. Slowly his love for humanity dwindles. This truth also means that he has to lie to Circe. She loves humanity, and if he told her she would be destroyed, it would be cruel and torturous. As centuries pass, this burden will weigh heavier and heavier on his shoulders, and to ease his pain and hers, he will abandon Circe. Ajax, in her search for faith, has condemned Ikaris to pain and isolation. However, we must ask the question, knowing the life he could live, knowing everything he must sacrifice, why does Ikaris endure? Why does he let everything wash away? The answer, Ikaris thinks of the Celestials like the ocean, vast and ancient and capable of great destruction, but also necessary for life to exist. Without the Celestials, the universe would be a cold expanse. It was them who brought life into the world, just as humans believe it was God who brought life into ours. The emergence is a tide, relentless and inevitable, just like the story of life itself. Ikaris and the Eternals are just ripples in this cosmic sea, and they have no right to disrupt the natural order. Is Earth any more special than the other planets that have succumbed to the emergence? By not being attached to humanity, Ikaris can see the cosmic picture of the universe. Death is the ending of one life, but from it, new life will be born. It is here we learn that Ikaris' belief and faith in the Celestials is a choice. He chooses to endure personal pain and loss whilst doing whatever is necessary to keep the natural order in place, because he is serving the universe itself. There is no greater meaning for him. He can't give up on the Celestials any more than Circe can give up on humanity. The emergence has begun. His mission is finally over, and he would have fulfilled his purpose. However, Ajax wants to stop the emergence, and now Ikaris has to ask himself, what is he willing to do in pursuit of his mission? As we mentioned earlier, Ajax has questioned her purpose in the cosmic cycle for thousands of years. She's no longer confident in Arisham's plan, believing the price Arisham asks is too high. Ikaris sees this as blasphemy, and it's here, with the heaviest of hearts, he makes a decision to kill Ajax. But before we dive into the depth of his actions, I want to focus on the two different paths Ajax and Ikaris take from their last meeting. In the 16th century, Ajax gives the Eternals freedom. She no longer wants them to follow the purpose bestowed upon them by her or Arisham, but to find their own identity and their own calling. For 500 years, Ajax wanders the world, and in that time, like Ikaris did in Babylon, she sees the beauty of humanity and what wonders they're capable of. Ikaris, on the other hand, begins to abandon humanity, isolating from them further and further, falling deeper into this rigid belief system. He chose not to live, he chose to let the Celestials dictate his life and his purpose. Now 500 years later, he's still slave to his belief and he's willing to commit horrific acts in the name of his faith. But from Ikaris' point of view, he's just completing the mission Ajax tasked him with. It is him who has had to live with the knowledge of impending doom, and he found solace in his devotion. When Ajax tells him she wants to stop the emergence, I always saw it as a teacher just before the student takes their exam saying to forget everything they've been taught. It was all wrong. It's confusing, heartbreaking, and it's painful. This is a confession of loyalty and betrayal at the same time. I think Ikaris is getting all of this frustration off his chest. He never rebelled, he always followed her orders, but it is him who has paid the ultimate sacrifice. By killing her, in a twisted way, he's upholding her teachings, he's making sure she stays loyal to her original purpose. It's a dark, brutal and horrifying act of love. Ajax is dead. For the first time in 7,000 years, an Eternal has died and he was the murderer. Ikaris' vulnerability takes hold of him. The pain, the anger and the burden all release in this moment. His purpose is alive, his mission still exists, but his mother is dead. Is the price the Celestials ask of him too high? At this stage in the film, Ikaris is very vulnerable. On the surface he is calm and collected, but on the inside he's in turmoil. He's responsible for the deaths of Ajax and Gilgamesh, he's lied to everyone he cares about, and he's still madly in love with Circe. Circe joins Ikaris at the one place he has had peace in this world. The very place they fell in love. It's changed now. The rocks still stand, they're eternal after all, but they've withered and eroded, much like Ikaris has. This is a beautiful and heartbreaking moment between them because Ikaris is still in love with Circe, but he knows that he will have no recollection of her. It's an admission of defeat, it's a part of the grand plan, but he wishes he could remember her. All their time together, all their memories and love, he doesn't want to forget that. If there is one thing he could change about the Celestials' plan, right now, it would be to remember Circe. This is the last chance he'll have to tell her how he feels. His love for her never diminished, and this one location in the world brings out their love. They've been apart for a century, but here it's like they never left. They're still those two Eternals who fell in love on these rocks from a simpler time. The emergence begins, and this is Ikaris' last stand. He has to protect the emergence no matter the cost. He comes face to face with his family, and we see the emotional damage and heartbreak Ikaris has carried for thousands of years. He questions if Ajax ever loved him. That's deep, that's painful. To know that Ikaris asks himself, why did she burden me with the truth? Why only me? Why did I have to suffer? He lied to everyone. He left the woman he loved all for this truth. He thinks that Ajax never loved him, and that's why she cursed him with this knowledge. He never wanted to hurt Circe, to lie to her, but he thought he was protecting her, but in reality, he broke her heart even more. I think that Ikaris wanted to tell Circe. There's a moment where they're in the Amazon where Ikaris is about to spill everything to her, but in the moment he's about to tell the truth, a deviant grabs him away. I always interpreted this as the mission always taking Ikaris away. Whenever he wanted to tell her the truth, whenever he was going to tell her everything, something would come up, whether it was a deviant or Arashim or Ajax, something would happen. And I think that adds to his pain. It's also here Ikaris stands his ground. With his belief in the Celestials, he questions how many of humanity would sacrifice themselves to know life in the universe would continue. Then he confirms what we've known for so long, his cage, his strength, his tragedy. Ikaris will stop at nothing to protect the natural order. He will kill the ones he loves the most. Ikaris now has chosen his path. The Eternals begin their civil war. Ikaris destroys the Domo, and there's so much depth to this moment because the Domo is the temple of the Eternals. It's dedicated to Arashim, but with the Eternals bastardizing their mission, they've now corrupted the temple. It no longer stands for its original purpose, so Ikaris destroys it. The Eternals are trying to stop him from his mission, but he's stronger, not only in power but in devotion. That gives him strength too. Nothing can hold him down, so the best they can do is slow him down. Watching Circe stop the emergence gives Ikaris all the incentive he needs to break out of Fastos' chains, and now he must come face to face with the woman he loves. Can he really kill her too? Ikaris and Circe. They're alone again, but now the fate of the world depends on Ikaris' actions. Thousands of years of faith, belief and purpose all meet at this one moment. His identity all hinges on his next action. To fulfill his mission, he needs to hurt Circe. His eyes power up and he's ready to make the ultimate act of faith. But he can't. He tries again, but he can't. How could he? He loves her. This is the woman who showed Ikaris happiness. She showed him his humanity. Circe sees the pain inside him, so she tries to ease it for him, to show him everything she remembers of Ikaris, not as the soldier or this mad crusade, but as the man she loved, as her anchor. Their memories are beautiful. Love has always been the key to his freedom. Love has always been his greatest strength, and in this moment, Ikaris finally chooses love over his gods, over his purpose, and over himself. Ikaris couldn't sacrifice Circe for the world, for his world, so he sacrificed himself. Once again, he gives himself completely to Circe. Ikaris is tormented. He has just gone against everything he believes in. His whole identity has been shattered because he chose love. Seeing the dead celestial, he cries. There in stone lies his faith. But his tears are also for the ones he's lost, for his brother and his mother, the terrible acts he's done in the name of faith, all for nothing now. He finally allows himself to see the horrors of his faith. His apology is for everything. Circe holds him, she understands his pain, she understands Ikaris. For the last time they embrace, one final goodbye. Ikaris no longer belongs to this world. He can't live in a world where he destroyed his belief, his faith, and he can't live in a world where he destroyed his family and those he loves. For the first time in thousands of years, he sees what he's been blind to for so long. Earth, not just humanity's home, but his home. It's where he lived, it's where he loved, and he finally sees that now. Ikaris flies into the sun, maybe because it's the last reminder of his faith, or maybe because he wants to seek punishment, to burn away his guilt and leave this world. Ikaris wasn't the villain. He was a dedicated and devoted soldier led astray by blind and unquestioned faith. He was redeemed by love for the woman he loved and for the people he chose to ignore. The tragedy in Ikaris lies in the fact he had love and abandoned it for faith, and then only chose love again after it was too late. Ikaris loves Circe, he loves everything about her. He shows us that love is the most powerful force of all, and he would rather die than live in a world without her. In his death, he finds not only punishment, but peace. Ikaris doesn't just fall from the sky, he fell from faith, and in doing so, found what it meant to be human.